Is cutting your bowels out really the only answer for bowel disease like Crohn's or colitis? Because the only two options your doctor's really giving you are medication and surgery, but there is a third option that allows you to avoid both of these things. In this episode, I'm going to show you what that third option is. Now, you guys might be wondering why cool backwards 90s guy hat Josh is on today. That is because I haven't done my hair. And this is a much more humane option today. So that being said, we're diving in with cool 90s Josh. Contrary to what your doctors told you, Crohn's and colitis are reversible. Now, I've helped hundreds of people reverse their bowel disease, and I'm here to help you do it too, because inflammation always has a root cause. We just have to find it. This is the Reversing Crohn's and Colitis Naturally podcast. Now, I do these live trainings in my Facebook group every single week and put the audios here for you to listen to. If you want to watch the video versions of these episodes, just click the link in the show notes to get access to our Facebook group and YouTube channel. And for weekly updates, information, tips, and tricks, you can sign up for our email list by clicking the link in the show notes below. Here's the thing. Let's talk about what your doctor says. I want you to understand why your doctor is saying that medication and surgery are only two options for bowel disease. And I'm going to show you why this is all nonsense. We'll break them down bit by bit. So they believe it, of course, to be a genetic condition. They say your genes cause it, there's nothing we can do, which is not true. We know family history is only relevant 20 to 27% of the time. We know that genes do not cause disease, though there's correlation. Genes aren't to blame, so we can't call it genetic, right? That's easy. They say it's autoimmune. We're going to talk about the antibodies, but I'm telling you right now, it's not an autoimmune condition. They call it idiopathic. This means there's no known cause. Well, we know there are lots of things that cause it. We've seen bowel disease increase by 3,000% in 75 years. Something's causing it, right? They don't believe in any kind of alternatives. They say alternatives don't work, nothing works. Doctors will even tell you that your diet and even supplements aren't going to work. In fact, they'll say eat whatever you want. Food doesn't matter. So there goes your alternatives, there goes diet, there goes supplements, there goes all of it. So your doctors truly believe that no other solutions can exist, let alone even be possible, because their assumption is it's genetic, autoimmune, it's random, therefore nothing you do is going to be able to help. Here's the thing. I'm not interested in managing your symptoms. I don't care. I'm not saying that because your symptoms can suck. Your symptoms can ruin your life. When I say I don't care about managing your symptoms, I say that's not my concern. Because what I want to do gets rid of your symptoms as a secondary effect because we're going after that root cause, right? Here's the thing. Your doctor's rationale for this makes sense. If you believe it's genetic, it's autoimmune, your body's attacking yourself, it's just a bad deck of cards, there's no reason why it's happening, well then the rationale makes sense that we're going to give you medication to control your symptoms, or we're going to remove the organs so there's nothing left for your body to attack. Therefore, no more inflammation, therefore no more pain and symptoms. That makes sense, doesn't it? But here's the thing. We know, again, genes do not cause disease. 20 to 27% family history is a correlation, and there can be a genetic weakness, but it doesn't cause disease. We know there are a lot of triggers, 3 things that make you sick. We have some kind of toxin, some kind of microbe, and some kind of deficiency is what's making you sick. That's it. So if we can figure out what they are, we're good to go. Now, I've done lots of talks on this before. I'm not going to dive into it in detail here. I'm going to dive into the autoimmune idea because in order to draw the shortest point between two lines, or the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? So the shortest distance here to say it's autoimmune, therefore let's cut the organ out because your body is attacking you. Therefore, if we just remove the organ, you're going to be fine. There's nothing left to attack, therefore no more symptoms. That's really the rationale. We can say we don't know the cause. That's kind of beside the point. We can say it's just genetic, also kind of beside the point. The issue is they say your body's attacking itself. That is the thing that creates the pain, creates the symptoms you're dealing with, which is why they say removing the organ fixes the problem. But for those of you who have gone through much of that surgery, you will know that it does not work for everyone. Some people get lucky, and that's fine. But I've seen many people get inches and feet taken out, and they're chopping you up over years and years. It keeps coming back. They can't figure out why. I'm going to show you why. Okay, so the rationale doesn't make sense when we break it down this way. It is not an autoimmune condition. Crohn's and colitis are not autoimmune conditions. I'll say it louder for the people in the back. Crohn's and colitis are not autoimmune conditions. Let me show you something. I'm going to break this down for you because I've said this. I've said this kind of stuff all over the place. I've been banned from communities and Reddit groups. I've been threatened. I've been harassed. I've actually done podcasts where the guest has actually emailed back and said, we're not going to publish the episode. We just can't get on board with this because it didn't make sense to them that it's not an autoimmune genetic condition. But the science is very, very clear. You just have to read it. If you believe it's an autoimmune genetic random condition, it's because A, you haven't read the literature, or B, it's rhetoric from your doctor and they're saying it, therefore you believe it and you still haven't read the literature, and C, your doctor's not read the literature. It is extraordinarily clear. Autoantibodies, meaning your body is attacking itself, does not exist. I'm going to show you how this came to be, okay? There's two most common antibodies that we see. We'll start with Crohn's disease. So we have two antibodies. We call these ASCA and OMPC. This stands for anti-Saccharomyces cerevisiae antibody, and this one is outer membrane porin C. Now this here is a yeast. This is a bacteria, probiotic, it lives inside of your gut. This is actually a protein on the outside of E. coli bacteria. These are the two most common antibodies. You want to know how these came about? They already at that time decided that Crohn's disease was an autoimmune condition. That's what the literature had already said. They said, okay, this is what it is, it's autoimmune. They found these antibodies and went, well, they're there. They must be auto. They must be attacking you. They made a huge leap in assumption when looking at these. 50 to 70% of the time, these are present in Crohn's, the most common antibodies across the board. And they called them autoimmune by making an assumption. We believe the condition is autoimmune. Oh, look, we found antibodies. They must be autoimmune. Then the research a couple decades later said, oh, no, it's not true. But the narrative of autoimmune had already sunk in. So why are we cutting out an organ if your body's not attacking itself? Why aren't we dealing with the thing that these things are trying to attack? Right? We made an assumption. The term and the rhetoric just stuck. What about colitis? Well, there's a very common antibody called PMID. Now I'm just going to put these up here. These are present 50 to 70% of the time on average. These are present 70 to 80% of the time in colitis. This PMID, that is a perinuclear anti-neutrophil cytoplasmic antibody for you science heads. Just call it PMID, easy to remember, okay? It was thought to be autoimmune. They said, oh, it looks like it's attacking you because this antibody, when it was present, there were autoimmune-like properties happening with it, and people presented as if it was this autoimmune condition we believe it to be, therefore it must be auto. But further research then showed that this was actually reactive to other bacteria when your gut barrier was compromised, not attacking you. And I went through this, and I dissected the literature and the research on the 10 most common antibodies, all the same stuff. They're not auto. They're not attacking you. And the research is very clear about this. And so we have to ask, well, if this is present when your gut barrier is compromised, what's compromising your gut barrier? Right? When these antibodies are up, what's actually triggering the event? What's causing them to show up? Well, these ones, ASCA and OMPC, these are present 50 to 70% in Crohn's disease. So they must be autoimmune. Nope, they're attacking a yeast or they're attacking a protein on a bacteria. They're not attacking you. Now, there's a lot of nuance in here, but the idea is the narrative has come out to say we assume it's autoimmune, and it trickled down for the last 75 years, and now your doctor's fitting the same rhetoric, but frankly, they haven't read the literature either. So for the haters, please just read the research. I'm going to put together a document outlining this stuff for you guys, okay? I'll do that. I actually wrote down the PubMed ID, but I was like, nobody's going to care. Someone's going to care. I'll make sure I write it down there, okay? So you can actually look into this. Not auto. So the rationale of your body attacking yourself randomly and just because you were born that way, that's the rationale for removing your organs. But that rationale falls apart the minute we actually look at the research. So why are we cutting out your organs? Why are we chopping bowels out foot by foot by foot till you have nothing left? It's crazy. And so now I'm going to give you the third solution. The third solution is finding the toxin microbe deficiency, whatever it is that's causing your problem. I'm going to walk you through an example. I spoke to a woman, was it Wednesday? I think it was Friday last week. So literally just a couple of days ago at time of recording this, I spoke to a woman and we went through her history. Obviously her name will remain nameless, but I will walk you through this history so you can understand what's happening here. We get sick for 3 reasons, okay? Toxins, microbes, and deficiencies. Okay, let's go through this together. So this woman who will remain nameless for confidentiality purposes, hopefully she gives me permission to actually use this. I would love to use this video recording because she has gone now decades with gut issues and she's had years and years since her diagnosis and took us 17 minutes to pin it down and said, here's exactly what it is. Okay, I'm going to take you through that right now, kind of give you the bullet points. She said her colitis was random one day. She said she always had some kind of mild gut issues, bloating or constipation, other things, but one day she got the flu. She thought it was maybe COVID. Boom, she started bleeding randomly and went, I don't know what it is, went to the doctor and said, yep, you got colitis. So therefore, it's random. I got sick, now I got colitis. I don't know why, it's random. My doctor says it's genetic, it's autoimmune. My doctor says they want to put me on drugs for the rest of my life. My doctor said, therefore. This is the expert bias. We're supposed to trust our doctors. In this case, I don't know if you can, okay? So that's what a doctor said. It was this random thing. It's just genetic. It happens, oh well. She assumed it was random because she got the flu. Here's what the actual history showed. We went back. Were you bottle or breastfed? She was breastfed. Okay. Were you vaginal birth or C-section birth? I was vaginal birth. Okay. So you got the basic seating. You're good. But tell me about the house you grew up in. She remembers she grew up in Colombia. She's born and raised there. She grew up really poor. She remembers the back of the house, like they were living with family in their grandparents' home. And she remembers at the back of the house, it was wet and musty and mildewy. She remembers there being mold. She remembers visually seeing mold in the house. She grew up with tonsil infections, ear infections, and all kinds of stuff. Tonsillitis right through till her 20s. So there's ongoing immune dysfunction, ongoing infections. There's mold in the system. What is mold? Toxin. So let's go point 1 for the toxin. So we have all of this going on. Now that mold, when it gets into your system, it challenges your immune system, makes you unable to deal with external things like viruses, parasites, etc. Well, there's one for microbes. It also creates dysbiosis and kills off because mold is antibacterial. So it kills a lot of your good guys off inside of your gut. So that it balances your microbes even more. There's 2 for microbes. And then she was going through, she remembers, she was born in it was late or early 80s. So she was right in the era of Pablo Escobar and the Cali cartel. So there's bombs going off all over the place. She told me, she says, I remember if my mom didn't come home by 6 p.m., there's a good chance she was dead, that she got stuck in a bomb. Well, guess what's toxic to your nervous system? Chronic stress. Bombs going off, gang violence. God, I'm not saying you have to be born in a gangland in order to have stress, but you can have other stressors. But that was her toxin. So she had mold, she had stress, she had mold dysbiosis and co-infections that came in. Now they took something once or twice a year for parasites, but she did, I believe she detected parasites, but either way, parasites come in, okay? Nasty bad guys. And then on and on her history goes. So here she is, she's got the tonsil issue, she's got all these bombings, mom's not home, all these different things. So we have early infancy, mold exposure, there's your toxin. You have childhood and preteens, your toxic levels of stress are disrupting your gut, they're disrupting your immune system, they're disrupting your motility, leading to bloating and constipation. There's stress, there's trauma, there's microbial imbalances, there's co-infections, dysbiosis, and then your immune system is all jacked up now. So what else becomes deficient under that immune response? Vitamins, nutrients, minerals, good quality sleep, good quality gut-brain connection, right? Good quality motility, good quality gut barrier function. Look at the toxins and microbes deficiencies that are happening in this story that she thought was a genetic random issue because she got the flu. This is what your history looks like. We have to go through the 5 R's because we have to identify everything first. We have to go through your history and your story. It took us 17 minutes to go through this. What she thought was random, medicated, the works, was just a history that one day that flu she got was simply the straw that broke the camel's back, but it wasn't the whole bundle. And so we have to go through the 5 R's. Simply put, I've done lots of lectures on these. I'm not going to dive into them huge, but here's what we got to go through. The first R is remove. Remove the problem or problems. Remove the stressors, remove the mold, remove the fungus, remove the whatever it is. We have to then replenish. Replenish what? Gut-brain connection, replenish sleep, replenish vitamins, replenish nutrients. Fill in the gaps of the thing your body is lacking or the things it needs to heal itself. Then, of course, we have to both repair the gut lining and rebuild the gut microbiome, that ecosystem that's been disrupted, the gut barrier. Remember, we said, look, this antibody comes up when the gut barrier is compromised. Let's repair that. The last and 5th R is to rejuvenate your immune system, not boost, rejuvenate or rebalance. because these hyperreactive immune responses are what's leading to the diseases that you're experiencing or the symptoms that they call disease. But if we walk through the processes, we can do that for you very easily. This is the third option. If you're like me and you think the medication and surgery route is a bad way, it doesn't make sense, your doctor says, oh, you have to cut your bowels out. You're like, man, that doesn't seem right. Like I was just healthy a month ago. Like what's going on? This is the third option. Go through your history, go through the 5 R's, and I'd be honored to take you through that third option. So I'm going to get to questions here in a moment, guys. If you have any questions, drop them down below. It's a great time to get in there. Here's what the third option can look like. If you're looking at this, like, man, this makes sense. I want my 17 minutes in the sun. Show me how this works. Here's what we got to do. It's very, very simple. If you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on a podcast, you want some help, there's a link right below in the show notes. And guys, here, you can click that link and book in with me directly. But wherever you're watching or listening from right now, you can simply send me an email. josh@gutsolution.ca. That's gutsolution, all singular, .ca for Canada. Send me an email, have a conversation. Let's just talk, see if we can get you some help. We can run through this history with you. Say, here's where yours came from. Here's what the path forward looks like. At that point, you say, you know what? I'm in. I'd love to join a program. We're here for you. At that point, you say, you know what? It's not a good fit for me. Cool. Here's some podcasts. Here's some YouTube videos. At least you have a direction. That's all you got to do. That call is free. Whether you decide to join us or not, at least you have some answers. That's all you got to do to get there. So I'm going to turn over to the questions now, guys. Maria asks, does this change in the case of cancer? No. Cancer is largely a metabolic disease. Cancer is largely preventable. Now, I can't speak specifically to the reversibility of it like I can bowel disease. So I've seen 500 plus cases now in my clinic here of Crohn's colitis. And I've seen people all over the world, from Australia, New Zealand, UK, Eastern Europe, US, Canada, you name it. So here's what I can tell you about cancer. There's a lot of commonalities from toxins and deficiencies, from microbes and parasitic infections that have been correlated to or linked to cancer by other specialists, except not by myself. So I can speak to their research, what I've heard from them, but I can't speak to the research itself. But here's what I can tell you. An environment that is full of toxins, microbes, and deficiencies is much more prone to cancer. If you're also finding yourself dealing with bowel disease in addition to or prior to, that's the first place I would go. In fact, if you head to my website, gutsolution.ca, go to the testimonials section. There's a fella there, black rimmed glasses and a hat, facing forward, not backwards, is quite as cool as mine. But he had I believe it was stage 3 colon cancer, reduced it by like 8 centimeters as tumors within a couple of weeks because we went after the toxins, microbes, deficiencies that was creating that cancer. So can I say we can reverse or cure? No, not at all. Won't even use the words cure, treat, or heal in my program. That's actually illegal for me to do. But I can say I have seen it reversed and reduced dramatically, and I've seen these things go away. I had another client who dealt with mold and parasitic infections and all kinds of stuff. She actually got skin cancer from her Entyvio. It was a biologic or immunosuppressive drug she was taking. And then once we got rid of those mold and those parasites, her skin cancer went away. So I've seen that before as well. All right, guys, I think that's all we got for you today. Still no questions over on the Instagram? That's an easy day. In and out today, guys. Thanks so much for being here. We're going to see you next time. She pooped. I think she peed on the blanket. That's why he was trying to bury it. Always during...
I had her in the bathroom, always pooping. I was pointing at the pad. I was like, so I knew she had to go. And I was like, go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. She just sat on it.
I hope this video is the one that Daniel gets to edit because he's like, I pooped. We're still recording on that one.
I'll stop. I can cut that out.
Before we give it to him, what fun would that be? One of my favorite things to hear as an IBD specialist is something along the lines of, I learned more from you in 15 minutes than from my doctor in 15 years. And if this for the first time is really starting to click and it's starting to make sense, and you're going, wait a minute, this might be reversible. I think there's more that I can do. This condition came out of nowhere. It happened to me out of the blue. I was healthy for 10, 20, 30, 40 years and suddenly I wasn't, and you're telling me there's no cause. If you're understanding finally that there is a cause, that something is driving this, I want to invite you to check the link in the show notes below. Send me an email, ask a question, see if a program is a right fit for you, because I promise you, this doesn't have to be a lifelong sentence. You're not doomed to this, and IBD can be reversed.